Well, online scammers are becoming more and more sophisticated, with more young Canadians falling victim to financial fraud than older Canadians, according to a recent survey by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Canada. For more, we're joined by Garth Sheriff, founder of Sheriff Consulting and a member of the Financial Literacy Program with CPA Canada. Thanks so much for making time today.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a bit more about the results of this survey, because we did think that it was a little bit surprising that younger Canadians are the ones that are falling victim more to financial fraud, because you hear so many unfortunate stories about older Canadians that are hit with something like this.
Yeah, that is the most interesting fact that came from the survey, that 3 in 5 18 to 34-year-olds, or 63%, report being a victim of at least one type of financial fraud in their lifetime. And that number actually drops to 39% for ages 35 to 54 and 31% for those 55 plus. And to your point, that seems counterintuitive. Now, seniors and the older generation still are susceptible to fraud and the types of fraud we've seen in the news for that demographic. But what this alerts us to is that the younger generation is not immune to fraud as fraud becomes increasingly more sophisticated.
And when we're thinking about how it is becoming more sophisticated, what are you referring to? Is it, being able to, take your financial information from you and use it, or actually tricking you into doing something? I'm thinking about those gift card scams where they convince you to go buy gift cards and then give them the numbers to those.
Yes, it's exactly those types of scams, because part of our behavior around making purchases and really filling out forms is a lot quicker. We're more quick to fill out a form, give our information away to an app, to some sort of what it may be, website or purchase. And we don't necessarily take a pause to understand what we're giving away. And sometimes it feels very innocuous. And this is for the younger generation. We maybe not be giving away our credit card information, but a mailing address or birth date, and we don't think much of it. But in these scams, the fraudsters are piecing together information, maybe to later use that information to get a credit card for themselves in your identity. So part of this is just maybe a moment's pause to when we add our information to a website, to an app, just to consider what is the security around our personal information.
It's really interesting because more and more stores, for example, ask you for that type of information. And I mean, there's a bonus to it. Maybe you get a coupon on your birthday or a free coffee at Starbucks or what have you.
Yeah, it almost feels like it's just something you do automatically, give away some of your information around your mailing address, personal information. And I think right now with data breaches and privacy, we just want to be more cautious about who we're giving our information to. One of the interesting parts of the survey found that 24% of Canadians admit they aren't necessarily limited to secure websites when it comes to sharing their personal information. So a secure website is an HTTPS, so that S at the end of that HTTP. And that's really important. That gives us a little bit more added confidence that if we're filling out a form, purchasing something, putting our name into some sort of coupon or gift card, at least the site is secure and we can feel a little bit more comfortable that our personal information is being protected.
When it is that type of site, is that when the little lock shows up beside it as well, when it's that HTTPS site?
Exactly. The HTTPS, that's hard for me to say as well. When you see the little lock, that's exactly it. Partly, I think what we want to do is preventative work around making sure that any demographic doesn't get caught up in a fraud. And it's sometimes hard because we are so quick to make purchases or fill out information. So as a CPA, I would advise to have a little checklist just in the background to make sure that there's a little lock in the website. And also, what information are you required to actually enter into a website? Some of these fields are not required, such as your birth date, your social insurance number. If it's not required, I would not put it in to any type of website or any type of app or any type of purchase.
What about, what card you're using? Is it a smart strategy to have, a credit card with a smaller limit that you're using just for online purchases, say?
That's a really good idea because credit card fraud remains the leading type of fraud, with 21% of Canadian credit card users having experienced it. So limiting the number of credit cards can give you more control. Understanding if you have multiple credit cards, maybe you use a credit card just for groceries and one credit card for other types of expenditures. And really, one of the most important things for any generational demographic to just protect themselves from these types of frauds is daily, or probably not daily because that might be too much, but at least monthly check-ins with your credit card statements, with your credit score, just to see if anything has happened with your information.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because with credit cards, you get those alerts when something goes a little wonky if you're, with a financial institution that does that. So it's maybe an extra layer of protection, too, if they're working along with you. But what if you find out that you're a victim of financial fraud? What are some of the first steps that you should be considering? I mean, I suppose it depends on the extent of things.
Well, one of the things, first of all, is behavioral. Don't get be too down on yourself. There's a shame factor to being caught up in a fraud. I mean, CPAs. I'm a CPA. There have been moments where I've been very close to being one of those stories, and we want to share these stories so other people become aware of the types of frauds that are out there, because they're evolving, they're getting more advanced. And so when people don't share this information, other people get caught up in the same type of fraud. So first of all, you want to contact your credit card company if that's where the fraud is taking place. You want to alert the police. You want to also let the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center know. They track these types of frauds. It's a public service to let this center know about fraud so other people can be aware as frauds evolve and change. And change your passwords and just do a bit of a postmortem to say what happened here. Maybe I can learn from it and make sure it doesn't happen again, but also tell that story. Don't keep it in. Let other people know, educate others.